It's the only wrestling podcast on earth with two Major League Baseball All-Stars, Dimitri Young, who is here, one four-time Stanley Cup champion, and Darren McCarty, who is here, one Canadian destroyer, Petey Williams, who is here.
How's she going, eh?
She's going good. And myself, Dennis Farrell, Wrestling Perspective. We have a jam-packed show. No guests tonight. We have a ton of topics to get to, but first, I got to give some love to our YouTube channel, guys. This thing is blowing up. Tons of comments I want to go through. Say hi to some of the new followers here. The Magic Bavarian said on our MJF interview, I can't wait for him to be champion. Can you send him to any show without preparation and he can draw people's interest? It's true, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. He's like that.
Alan's a new subscriber. Hello, Alan. Justin Smith just recently found us through our Rocky Romero interview. Let's see here. He wants the MLW Heavyweight Championship to unify with the AAA Cruiserweight, and that be a championship that goes up against AEW's championship. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Red doors open.
It is. I mean, anything can happen.
And Petey, does that, like, when you throw things around, I know, like, just this match, but stuff like that, now it actually, from a wrestler's perspective and what you see could happen, like, that's sort of plausible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, merging belts, new belts. Like one thing, like I was actually thinking about this today. Like, why doesn't AEW have like a cruiserweight title?
Isn't that what the TNT belt's supposed to be?
I thought that was more of like, I don't think it's a cruiserweight title because wasn't Cody and like Brody and all that, like they were champion. That was more like their intercontinental, their secondary title. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe they're doing something different, whatever. But usually when you think cruiserweight, but then sometimes WWE 205 Live kind of. Maybe gave it a bad name or whatever the case may be. But yeah, having a secondary title.
Well, quick shout outs to Blow and Smoke 24/7 who loved the MJF interview. D-Rock 1209, thank you. Cindy Wrong Dice is a new subscriber. Thank you very much. Let's see here. UHU wanted us to know that he believes that MJF is the best heel since Rick Rude.
Rick Rude.
I
mean, Rick Rude was two totally different types of heels, but I mean, Rick Rude was a great heel. He just got heat a different way. MJF, the modern day, I could see it. They're both good heels for their time. Yeah.
Let's see here. Dark says, hello, all the way from India. I'm a huge fan of the podcast. So we got it. Yeah.
All right. International.
Slowly, maybe. Too bad we can't get any Canadians to listen to us, huh?
I know, right? It's like we
had two Canadian hosts too. Wow.
Let's see here. Don Jennings says, I love the way he stayed in character throughout this interview. It was funny. One of my favorites of the year already. Thank you, guys.
Well,
he didn't stay in character. That was him.
That was him. Yeah. Jinx, you owe me a beer.
Let's see. Hello to Willie. Willie had a comment. Love the MJF.
Hey, Dennis, let me comment. If and I'll be honest, because I'm the hard ass here, but dude, the realness of MJF, were you gonna air the shit he was saying to you off the air? I mean, I was about right. He was like, and back to the heel comment. I don't care what it is. That guy is always a heel because even if something stupid where he babyface, I'm always waiting for the shoe to drop because. So who would that guy, Dimitri? And Rick Rude's a good one because he was never really a good, like he was always a heel, just with that cheap mustache, he was like a Tom Selleck of the ring, like I mean it was like. So would you say, Dimitri, like there's nobody, because I've always wrapped my mind because he's like The Rock, but The Rock was when he went good, that now he's all great. Like, you know what I mean? He's Jumanji. Yeah. Is there anybody that comes to your mind?
I've been racking my brain since the Rick Rude, and I'm like, there's always someone that's a total a-hole, and then they go babyface, and it's like I don't see MJF ever going babyface. I see him being a heel till he retires.
To me, it's a mixture of two guys. It's a dash of Mr. Perfect, because I just think he that
He was a born
whole
heel.
I see that.
and Rick the model Martel.
Ooh.
Those two guys is
Arrogant.
yes, you put them both
Yeah,
together. That's what MJF is right now.
Well, MJF, like, yeah, he's got it. Now, going back to Rick Rude, the thing is why Rick Rude he got more heat with the crowd, the males in the audience, right? The female, obviously, he was like, hey, I'm going to, his gimmick was, I'm going to hit on your lady, right? Right in front of you. So he got a lot of the boos from, and then, some of the girls wouldn't, like, since he's so arrogant, they'd boo him and stuff. But still, like, he would kiss a bra, kiss somebody. That's what he used to say, though, but he would kiss somebody every single time. How is that, like,
Wisconsin sweat hogs?
Yeah, so I don't know, like, he didn't go 100% heel, because a 100% heel, everybody hates him.
Well, a couple more quick shout outs: Josh Phillips, Mike Gross, Alfred Franklin. Thank you for subscribing. D-Mac, one of your favorite people, Dr. Speedweed, wants us to know.
Hey.
Wants us to know he would love to see MJF and Wardlow become a tag team and call them Green and Gold.
Not bad.
Okay.
You get some creative things off these comments, I'll tell you what. Like, I've seen some good things where I'm like, wow, that makes sense.
Well,
and I love that, Petey. I love the fact that, because as a wrestling fan, and you hear from somebody, it's just like a hockey player or a baseball player. You hear from somebody that is in the trenches or has been there and have been around it. That means a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I got one of my ideas from, like, one of my shirts that is on the Pro Wrestling Tees. It said, the chive, like, keep calm and chive on. Like, somebody, like, sent me just a mock-up of it, said keep calm and Canadian destroy. So I'm like, all right,
nice.
cool. And I took that, and like, I mean, I'll yeah. Some other people have great ideas. So yeah.
Let's see, two more. Miguel, we want to say thank you. Miguel, for twice now, has thrown out wrestlers that to come on the podcast, and here they are. And he wants to say thank you for bringing them the wrestlers they want to hear. So we appreciate you, Miguel, tweeting us and listening to the show. And I'm looking for this one comment because, Pete, I don't remember what show it was, but you had thrown out the comment that no women listen to the show. And we had a few women comment that, hey, we do have women listening to the show. So I believe it was the Butcher episode. And he had said something. You're like, no women listen to this.
Oh,
why Petey's divorced. That's why Petey's divorced.
That is the liberal use of broad.
I guess. Well, I was going back to the
That's
Rick
a Canadian
Rude
word,
used to
guys.
say that.
It's a Canadian word. It's in the Canadian dictionary. Sometimes I wasn't there for that episode, so I couldn't defend my boy here. But sometimes it's just it's lost in translation, as they say.
Yep.
So
got your back, boy.
Thank you.
So people out there, thank you so much. Keep subscribing, keep commenting on the videos, and we'll try to do our better job here of reading the comments and saying thank you to everybody subscribing. But this is a list of kind of something new we're going to try to do to let you fans out there know that we really do appreciate everybody listening and interacting and tell us they love us. So with that being said, guys, I'm just going to jump right into it, and I want to go swinging hard here, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I think it's time for Sting to go. And
go where?
Anywhere but AEW. I think he is hurting. He's not doing a service right now to whatever angle they're trying to pull off with him. Hear me out. His promos are not great anymore. Not that they were ever really good. I mean, guys, can you name me one great Sting promo throughout his history? And you can't use the one where it was him and Macho Man and they threw and Hulk Hogan and they lit the can on fire and Sting spent the whole promo trying to put the fire out because he didn't talk.
Okay, go on.
One great Sting, just one out of his amazing history. One great Sting promo.
But
how about before his match with Ric Flair in the first Clash of Champions? I mean, I'm just trying to come up with something.
That's right.
But Dennis, to your point, are you saying because if Sting and he took that bump and if he wasn't, sort of, how are you saying is that my question to you is this why the Big Show? So, like, is there something to do with that?
Nope.
Because it's not like, is it more of a physical thing, or just because like the physicality, or you just think he's too old? You just think it's worn over?
Not even that. I'm glad to see him healthy, and that will fall into a little bit of my point here in a second. But Sting was brought in to get Darby Allin over, and I think in this, at least this is to set it up. And the more I watch this, the more I think Darby Allin is doing all the heavy lifting, even for Sting.
He's 60. He's 60. What did you? You're 100% right. I believe. Right. Sorry.
No, I thank you, because I'm actually shocked. Someone, I love Sting. I grew up a huge Stinger fan, but I don't think whatever role they have him in right now is the right role. I want to see Darby Allin, and almost like the Miz is, Miz's thing was, I want to make this Intercontinental Championship feel special, and I feel like he had done that every time he held it. With Darby Allin, I want him to make that TNT Championship belt feel special. It's new. A couple people's held it, him and Brody Lee and Cody, but none of them have really elevated that belt yet. And I think Darby is the one that can do that, but he doesn't need a 60-year-old guy to help him elevate that belt. I think.
Yeah, I disagree with that. And the reason why I disagree is because eyeballs are on AEW because of Sting. Yeah, people love Darby Allin. I like Darby Allin too, but you got a little bit of that star power behind him. And eventually he might just break off from Sting and go on his own. So that might be something in the making.
I think, Dennis, your point is that we do not like to see our heroes go off into the sunset, sort of not on their horse. Like, is this going to change the perspective of Sting's career or whatever, how they're doing it? Like, is this like the guy in hockey who's, playing too long, or the guy whose contract, or, in baseball that they're just paying out that doesn't deserve to be there? Is that something to do with it? Because Dimitri's right. As far as it's about that battle of ratings, Petey can probably attest to this. And when you can bring back, that's going to bring eyeballs, even no matter what more of the storyline is. Again, another pop today. You're the first one that popped on the text, was like, what about the Big Show, right? Were you not? So
yes.
So I guess with storyline guy and understanding is, let's dig into the why. I don't think it's more. I think they're just trying to get the most that they can until they can launch Darby, like you said, to make the TNA. How's he going to do that? He's going to have to cross promote, probably, correct? Would you say, right? That's the biggest way. So I think in the meantime, until they're able to do that, they needed some sort of storyline or some sort of glue. I mean, I'll revert to you, Petey. How does it work as far as like the mentality of, obviously bringing the name in, but then developing the storyline? Do you see it playing out a certain way because of your experience?
Well, two things. Sting, I don't believe in the past 20 years has actively himself or his agent or his team went out and said, hey, are you guys interested in signing me to any promotion? Okay. When he came to Impact, don't remember the exact year, 2005, 6, whenever it was, he signed his contract and then he was set to leave. He really was during my time there between, I left in 2009 and he wants to leave. Like he was like, I'm all set. I don't know how old he was at the time. Maybe like 50 or
40s.
Yeah, 40s, something like that. And, he pretty much just said, like, I want to go, but they just, they keep throwing money at me. Like, it's hard to turn down the money, right? I mean,
Exactly.
he knows
Absolutely.
he's past his prime. All his best matches are behind him. He knows that. But if somebody's like, hey, you're a top draw, here's money. Okay. I mean, what do you do? So there's that. So I'm assuming when he left Impact, he was probably all set. And then who got him? WWE. They probably threw a bunch of money at him. And he's like, okay, never wrestled at WrestleMania before. Let's do it. Sure. And then now, done with WWE. What do you think AEW did? Threw him lots of money. Said, hey, come on by. So that's part one.
I don't blame him for taking the money. He did.
No,
Any
of us would do the same. Like
Absolutely.
So what's part two, Petey?
Well, I mean, still on part one, like I know a lot of the times we don't say like, hey, never rest on your laurels. Like just you should always push forward or something. But Sting has such a big reputation and has done so much in the past that he's that type of guy that he can walk out. There's not too many wrestlers out there right now that can just walk in any arena around the world and people are just going nuts, right? Like before they even have a match, knowing that their match is probably going to be, he could just walk out and then be like, yeah, let him talk, whatever. Part two is, what Impact did obviously is, we have great undercard talent before Sting got there. We're having great matches, X Division, all that stuff. And they're like, okay, how do we get more eyes to our product? Okay. People know who Sting is, right? People from the old WCW, the Monday Night Wars, Attitude Era, they know who Sting is. So if you're advertising on TV or YouTube or wherever you advertise on the internet, Sting's coming to Impact, guess what? You're going to tune in for that 2 hours to watch Impact. You might only get like 10 minutes of Sting, but guess what? You're going to be like, oh, who's this, the Petey Williams guy, or who's this Bobby Roode guy? I've never seen that guy before. And they're like, oh, and that gets you hooked on it, but you're watching for Sting. I mean, that's how you build your product, and AEW is doing the same thing. Everybody knows who Sting is, right? Who are the fans watching AEW right now? The indie fans, right? They built it based on a t-shirt company. So they're up now. It's a lot of the fans and stuff, but then how do we tap into another audience? We look at the demographic that Jericho always talks about. What's the demographic? Like 18 to 40 or whatever it is, right? Okay. So those are newer wrestling fans in my eyes. Us, we're a little bit older. We fall in that other demographic where we watch Sting on Monday night on Nitro. So now how do we tap into that audience and bring them to AEW, get a new demographic to us? And that's exactly what they're doing with Sting.
I'm not saying they're wrong. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's doing Darby Allin a service in this program that they're in. Here's the thing. When he took that power slam, the internet went crazy. Oh my gosh, Sting looked good. He took the power slam. That's amazing. Now you're trying to sell that reaction to me that he's going to be viable in a street fight to help the TNT champion, survive two big monsters in Brian Cage and Will Hobbs? No.
Yes. Oh, you know about old man strength.
Oh.
Go ahead and try and fight your daddy. I can't fight my daddy. My daddy's gonna be 70. He's gonna whoop my ass.
So this is what they're doing right with the booking. Okay. He's in a tag team match. All right. Now, just knowing, like, I used to team with Steiner. Okay. Steiner that I teamed with wasn't the Steiner of the late 80s, early 90s. He couldn't do half the stuff that he used to. You probably still do it, but it just didn't look as crisp. You're not as smooth, all that kind of stuff. The age catches up. Now with Sting, same thing. Okay, let's get a workhorse as his tag team partner, Darby Allin, and it'll be a hell of a match. I think. Do they have the match on their next pay-per-view, Dennis?
Yes, I hope. You know what I hope? I hope it's not a match. I hope it's one of those cinematic matches. If they can make, that's the only way I go, all right, this could be great, because I don't want to see Sting in a match. It's almost like The Undertaker. How many times do we all love The Undertaker, but now we're
Well,
stuck?
hold on.
Whoa.
So Undertaker, though, okay, I know, and everybody's gonna say like Undertaker, he should have retired, whatever. He's having singles matches against like guys like Goldberg and stuff. Two guys that, if you brought them back, they should probably be teamed with two, up and coming stars that can carry the workload. I mean, that's good booking to me. It's the rub. You're using the Sting like you're supposed to use him, like he's getting the rub to Darby, and then you're also putting him in a match and he's wrestling. He's not just standing back in his corner with the mic piece or being the manager. He's getting involved. And he's gonna do his Sting stuff, his Stinger Splash, his all that kind of stuff, DDT.
I don't know. I think you bring Sting back. You bring him back in either a authoritative role or maybe something like Arn Anderson is, because as much as I was excited at first that Sting and Darby Allin were teaming up because they both really, would go well together, I watch this play forward and I think he's not helping Darby. He might be helping the show. I think he's hurting Darby more and maybe helping the show and not really doing Darby a service in this role.
Well, hold on. One more sec, guys, and you guys could jump in. Going back to the demograph, okay?
No, I get that part.
So the demograph of the 19 to whatever, like the younger demographic, is going to like Darby no matter what. They're going to watch the show no matter what. They're going to love Darby no matter what. You throw Sting in there, now you could potentially get older folks that like Sting to be like, oh, who's this Darby guy? Is this the new Sting that I grew up watching? That's what it's all about right there.
Agree with you, Petey.
Side by side.
All right.
That father-son thing.
Seeing them side by side. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
it makes that, it's psychology, it's everything else, how you can pass it. And Pete, that's a great explanation about trying to get everything for everybody. Now, Dennis, you're like the purest of what you want it done, but to understand that's not where they're at right now. But I think they'd be brilliant if they did a cinematic match. And that'd make everybody happy and everybody would understand what it would do. And so hopefully you'll get your wish.
I pray because this could, if this is a match and we don't get 40% of the Sting that we used to love, it's not going to be a good match. It might even set AEW back because, Pete, as much as you make some great points, one bad, horrible Sting match can turn off a ton of the younger generations, and then we start hearing, oh, he's taking away a spot from the younger guys. Wrestling fans are fickle, and they will turn on a legend like that.
Did they turn on him in WWE? He had an 0-2 record.
I don't think they cared. That's the thing. I mean, he was hurt. I mean, Seth Rollins, which, it's neither near or here, but, if you remember, it was Sting that ended Ravishing Rick Rude's career in Japan when he didn't catch him going through the ropes and hurt his back. Then you have, Seth Rollins, who ended up hurting Sting and putting him out. And then you have Sting, big time Seth Rollins, on TV when he came out. If you go look for the clip out there, fans, there's a clip where Sting was coming out for some sort of real life celebration. I want to say maybe either a Ric Flair or a Hulk Hogan celebration. Seth puts his hand out to shake it as he comes out, and Sting looks at him and just walks right by him. Not cool.
That's interesting. Now, I don't know if that's how it was booked or if that was like real life heat. What's that?
It wasn't booked.
No, I don't know. So what you're saying is kind of karma, I guess, is what you're saying, Dennis?
But it doesn't go towards the argument. It's neither near or here. I'm not using that as a piece to put in place. It was just, we mentioned Rick Rude a few times and it was on the top of my head, and here we are as Sting. I put the pieces together.
So I think the match will be decent. I think the agents in AEW are really good, knowing Sting's limitations stuff. Sting probably knows his limitations as well. So I think the match is going to be good. I know that I've worked hurt before where I couldn't do anything in the match, and my tag team partner picked up the slack, and people didn't really notice. I've also done it. One time Steiner, he tore his ACL, and we had to do house shows, and he couldn't even drop his elbow because if he fell on the mat, he couldn't get up properly. Right? He'd have to roll out of the ring or pull himself up on the ropes, and it would look horrible. And I had to, like, it was myself and who was it? Steiner versus Abyss and Frankie Kazarian, and I'm taking I'm taking their shine. We're heels. I'm taking their shine. I'm taking, I'm doing the majority of the heat. I'm taking their comeback. Just because Scotty was hurt. So, and it came off as a decent match. I don't think people like knew the difference. We worked around it and stuff. And, will it be 5 stars? I mean, who cares? I think there's going to be a lot of drama, not drama, like emotion in it and stuff. And I think you're going to see I hope you see a passing of the torch somehow, some way, whether he, grabs the baseball bat, turns it around and be like, this is yours, Darby, or whatever they do. The symbolism, I hope they do that, but I think it'll be good. Probably because our expectations are low for it. So I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Anybody else?
Well, I think that, one of the things you're missing here is also too, is the impact in the locker room of having a veteran guy, because even you hear about everybody when you talk about, when they heard Sting was there, and stuff like that. There's an impact to have somebody like that around. And I think that Jericho, the Young Bucks, Tony Khan, all these guys, the Arn Anderson, everything, the things that Petey's talking about, it's Sting's self-awareness in 2009. I think they know what they're doing.
I hope so.
This is WWE. I'd say I don't trust nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but again, Dennis, you said, which makes a great point. Nobody cared, right? They care now because there's more involved, and that's why that should tell AEW that they have that emotion, and they have. So hopefully we're talking about this after that pay-per-view, and you go, I was wrong, but.
Or maybe Dennis will say I was right, guys. What'd you think?
I hope I can say I was wrong. If I'm wrong, I will too.
But also remember, Cody Rhodes is running this, and he is running it like his father's image. And he grew up watching WCW. Has Jim Ross, has Tony Schiavone, and I love WCW. I know you love WCW. Did they have WCW in Canada there, guys?
Yeah, but we had to watch it on Tuesday on TSN. They aired they aired Raw on the Monday during the Monday Night Wars, and then they aired Nitro the following It was really weird. Like we didn't because we don't have
today.
Yeah, we didn't have was it TNT or TNT?
Yeah, TNT.
Yeah, we didn't have that super station, and we called it.
We got Stampede Wrestling, Petey.
Yeah,
we got Stampede Wrestling.
Let's move on. Bobby Lashley. Now,
yes.
As much as we bag on WWE, I think right now they're doing a lot of things right. And in a little bit, I want to break down my idea of right now, and I'm just teeing this up for a little bit later, that I kind of think Edge and Roman Reigns, if they can stretch this out for half a year, this could be the rivalry of the year. I as much as I love whatever Kenny Omega's doing and all this stuff, I find myself more drawn to the story that Roman Reigns and Edge is telling, and I can't believe it. I'm saying that either, but we'll get to that later. I can tell by D-Mac's, or not D-Mac, but Dimitri's face that he's really interested in what I'm saying there. But anyways, poker face, horrible, Dimitri. But Bobby Lashley, I love what they're doing here. I'm a fan of The Miz, and I hope that Miz can stretch this title run out into WrestleMania, because I think if they put the title on Bobby Lashley before WrestleMania, you're going to take away a lot of emotional weight for putting the belt on an African-American champion, which, once again, how many times do we say it Dimitri, that I think there's only been like maybe 4 African American WWE, WWF champions, and we're not talking about the big gold belt either in WWF history. I mean, this is kind of a big moment. People aren't really putting the weight of what could be happening here.
And the way that they finally portrayed him, he's like the walking Armageddon when he was in Impact Wrestling. He's just absolutely tearing everybody up. And what he did to Braun Strowman on Monday was just straight up impressive. Like, wow. And it's about time that they turn him into a monster. They should have turned him into a monster, but we can always talk about hearsay and stuff. But they got him, like, he looks unstoppable. And maybe this is going to eventually be that Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley down the road, because I mean they builded him up real good. He lost that U.S. belt, and it was like no big deal because he showed back up and absolutely demolished Drew McIntyre. And then the Miz came in, and I like how that. And I know D-Mac is gonna say I love how that storyline's going, because Miz, I would like to see a triple threat match between the Miz, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley in WrestleMania, because one, the Miz, he put asses in seats. He is one of the best talkers ever. Everybody's on the Drew McIntyre train, but the way that Bobby Lashley is finally being built up like a true monster that he is. I mean, look at his physique. And he's 42 now?
Yeah.
Looks like he's 25. I mean, ridiculous. I mean, put the belt on him.
But I think that they have to let Miz stay the champion until WrestleMania. They have to find a way to stretch this out, because I think if you put the belt on Bobby Lashley too early, it doesn't, that WrestleMania moment isn't going to be there. I think WrestleMania has to be the place that Bobby Lashley wins. I want to see him win it. I would love to. I think if he wins it on Raw, it doesn't mean as much. If he wins it at Fastlane, I don't know if anybody cares as much as if he would win it at WrestleMania.
Agreed. 100%.
I agree, and I love everything they're doing with Bobby Lashley, because if you watch, you'd see the momentum or whatever. But every time he's on the screen, like Dimitri said, he's believable. As like when you see Brad, like, how do you beat this guy? It's like the first time you saw King Kong Bundy. It's like, how are you gonna beat that guy? You know, like in a different way. But the way that they've used them, I thought it was brilliant. You know, and the way you have the Riddle win the championship by rolling up Morrison, and then Lashley's not involved, and the way he comes, like the storyline is brilliant. And I agree with Dennis 100%. Whatever they do, they got to save that pop for WrestleMania, because that sets them on the collision course to who's the only one that'll be able to battle him. It could even be, you know, down the road, The Rock comes back or something, but or Lesnar, you know, somebody of that ilk. So I love everything, and it's just rightfully so. And I think that's the brilliance where MVP is, you know, been an MVP the way that, you know, that's all over the last, you know, through COVID and everything, that it's finally come about. And like Dennis said, at WrestleMania, that would make it all sort of ice cream sundae with the cherry on top for, I guess, all of us who've watched him just destroy guys for years.
So I got 2 questions just because I don't know the answer to, but maybe you guys know. Is WrestleMania, before I answer this, is WrestleMania going to be with fans?
I think they're talking about it, yes.
Okay, so not confirmed. Okay.
I believe it is confirmed.
25%.
Yes.
Okay, so there is going to be fans. So WrestleMania moments will exist coming up this year. So that's good. Okay.
By the way, Pete, can I cut you off for 1 second?
Yep.
How hokey is it that the WWE is reusing everything from last year's WrestleMania? I mean, they're the same graphics, the same video.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Because I don't think they did anything with the production. It was just at the Performance Center. So they're probably like, hey, let's
do something a little bit different. I get it. They're finally going back to
They, They're saving money.
Yeah, that's what I said. They're saving money. We had this big stuff planned, and we're just going to push it back till the next year.
It's not a pay-per-view, do it, but it's WrestleMania. Make it feel special. WrestleMania feels a little less special when it's the same graphics and the
It doesn't matter, man. You know why it's going to be more special than last year?
Fans.
Yes, exactly. Worst WrestleMania in history last year. We've all said it, and we're all going to stick.
That was tough.
Okay, number 2 question. Fastlane, is that going to be the first pay-per-view where they actually switch over to that Peacock?
Last pay-per-view on the network.
Okay. So, Bobby Lashley then. So they won't, I don't think they'll give him the title at Fastlane. If it was like the first one for the Peacock special, they might want to do that, business-wise. That would make sense. So waiting for WrestleMania totally makes sense. I think Bobby Lashley, it's the best he's been booked this run for sure. Like the stuff he did with Sami Zayn when he came back, like with his sisters and stuff. Sisters. I'm like, this is where we're going with Bobby. He's worth so much. Like he can do so much more. He was booked really well, like back in him versus Umaga and that with Trump and stuff like that. That was good. Like they really pushed him. That all eyes were on that right there. But this actually like suits his character, what they're doing, exactly what they did in Impact and stuff.
You've worked with him in Impact, right?
Yeah. I was there on his last day. The first time I actually met Lashley was in Germany, believe it or not. It was like my second time in Germany. I can't remember the wrestling promotion, but that's when I I wrestled Will Ospreay, and Bobby wrestled, I can't remember who, their heavyweight champion at the time. And yeah, I met him. Super, super cool dude. Like we rode together. The best guy. He's actually, I don't know if I should give this away, but I will because it's our show. And probably doesn't matter. And he probably talks about it anyways. When we were in Germany, I guess his dad, his family was stationed over there, in the military and stuff. So actually, before the show, because we got in the day before, the guy took us out for dinner. And then Bobby's like, hey, I really, I grew up in this one area. It's not really a base, but it's where all the, American military people would kind of stay. And we drove over there, and it was just great to see that I got to be part of it, where he was reminiscing about like, yeah, this is the school I went to. And we're in the middle of Germany, right? This is school I went to. Oh, yep. This is the apartment complex I grew up in. Yep. And oh yeah, that was my house up there. I mean, it was really surreal that I was able to experience that with him. It was me, him, and the German promoter. And then I didn't see him again until about 2017, when I went back to Impact, and he was, pretty much on the last little bit of his contract. He wasn't a monster anymore because they were doing stuff where they were trying to build up Brian Cage, and Brian Cage was beating him really quick and stuff like that. But that's what you do when you're on the way out of a company. You put the other guys over so business could carry on. So I can't.
Let me ask you this, Pete. How did the WWE get it so wrong through many Bobby Lashley runs? Because we've watched him. This is second or third time in the WWE. This is maybe the first real time they booked him to be a monster. How have they gotten it wrong so much?
The only thing I could think of, that's a good question, because I don't know how you book him wrong. The only thing I could think of is, in Impact, you have guys that aren't the same size, at least at the time, as the guys in WWE. WWE's like normally historically very big, guys, like not the AJ Styles that you see now, but really big guys. So Bobby, kind of blended in with the mix. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't considered a monster. And now on Impact, you got guys like he was feuding with like Eddie Edwards and stuff. Yeah, he's way bigger than Eddie Edwards. He's jacked, right? And I think coming over this time, I don't know why they did the Sami Zayn thing, whatever. Maybe they thought it was going to work. But now, yeah, I know, right? But now, a lot of the guys are smaller, and just, that's the style. Like it's not so much about heavyweights anymore. Say with boxing and UFC, like the middleweight type stuff is the more exciting matches to watch. So Bobby now, like they're booking him right because he does, like, you look at him, you're like, look how big he is, and he's vicious, and he's like he's a great wrestler and stuff, and he has a UFC or MMA background. I'm like, they're booking him right now the proper way.
My only concern is Sunday he does the most heelish thing ever, comes out and just whoops on Drew McIntyre. Monday he comes out and is essentially a face wrestler, and that worries me a little bit. If you watched Monday Night Raw, you could tell that he was not the bad guy in this program going forward. So I'm a little bit worried on whether he's going to be a heel or a face or maybe that gray area. I don't know where they're going with his position in this match.
That's okay though. If you look at, and I'm going to use a really huge comparison that like hit everybody right between the eyes. Remember when The Rock, not to compare it to The Rock, but you remember when The Rock was his heel character right before, that Survivor Series, right after the screw job,
Rocky Die stuff.
Yep. So he was super duper heel, and then all of a sudden he's doing all his catchphrases, and then people just started cheering him. Like it happened organically, and you don't see that anymore without like I don't even think they were pushing him like it just happened. People just start falling in love with him. And maybe they're thinking that the same thing's going to happen with Bobby. Like, we're all drooling over him right now. Right. And we're like, oh man, this is great. And fans are smarter nowadays than, the day where they turned Rocky babyface for the first time. So it's hard to do it organically, but we'll see what happens. If he feuds with The Miz, obviously he's going to be the baby in it. Right. I do disagree with Dimitri a little bit about the WrestleMania match being for the title with being a three-way with Miz, Drew, and Bobby. I always, if Miz comes in as the champion and let's say Bobby pins Drew, I hate when they don't pin the champion. If he pins Miz, then yeah, great. I just, I hate that. Just go back to Daniel Bryan, right? Daniel Bryan, WrestleMania, what was that, 30, Dennis? Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton versus Batista. Randy Orton's the champion.
Ray had to face Triple H at the beginning of the
Yep.
night.
So that's cool, right? When he got into the match. Now, who did Daniel Bryan
Batista.
Exactly. He didn't even beat the champion. So that's what I always hate about that. Like, even when I won my first X Division title, it was a gauntlet match and I didn't even beat the champion, and like, just look at what happened with Bobby just at the last pay-per-view. He lost. Well, he didn't he lost the belt, but he didn't even get pinned. So I hate that. That's easy booking to me. That's like how do we keep this guy strong but get the title off him? So I always kind of hated that booking. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, with the triple threat, I wanted Bobby to pin The Miz.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
And then
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
You mean to try and protect The Miz? Because I would like that Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley to go all the way to SummerSlam, because they had a great feud in Impact.
So let's pretend Bobby pins Miz,
Sheamus
right?
Is in the mix with Drew. Drew and Sheamus, I think, is gonna.
Oh yeah, they got something going on too. This is good because they have us guessing, right? But let's pretend it's a three-way, like you said, Dimitri, and Bobby pins Miz, right? Okay, he pinned the champion, but we never really got the big blow off of Drew and Bobby. Like, isn't that what we kind of want to see? Drew versus Bobby?
No? Yeah, and that could build off it though, right?
So I mean,
that build off it, because then Drew could say to Bobby, "Well, you pinned the Miz, so now give me my shot or whatever."
But do you give Bobby the title at WrestleMania? Like, he should double pin both of them, tap one out and pin the other one at the same time.
Oh, that would be sick.
Do it like an elimination.
Yes, elimination three-way. Love it.
I don't hate that idea. I just think they booked.
Elimination 3-way
That's
would be
it,
sick.
Dimitri. So elimination, guess who gets pinned first? The Miz. So then guess what? Your
Yeah.
new champion, no matter what, that's put people on edge. I love it. That's good booking.
Well, they booked themselves in a corner because you have Drew who wants his rematch. He's entitled to it, right?
Yep.
Then you have The Miz who cashed it in, is the champion, and then you have Bobby Lashley who has some sort of gentleman's agreement with The Miz. But you have Drew who's kind of starting a program with Sheamus, and then what do you do? I don't like when a guy has his automatic rematch, but he decides not to take it right away.
They don't do that anymore, do they?
I think the WWE still does it.
I thought, which company was it? I thought it was WWE where they said that automatic rematch clause wasn't a thing anymore. I could be wrong.
They also said they're going to give the fans what they want too. So
yeah. So yeah, they say a lot of things. Okay.
Hey, but I like that they're finally giving Bobby Lashley his comeuppance, and they're booking him the way he needs to be booked.
Absolutely. I'm really happy for Bobby, and I'm sure everybody else is here too. I think I can speak for everybody.
So let's move on and let's talk a little bit about Edge here. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but since the Royal Rumble, where you had Edge, who's he gonna pick? You had Roman basically begging him to pick him. I've really been enthralled with this storyline going forward. And D-Mac, Dimitri had to go, and I saw the look on his face, so I was teeing this off. But I wanted to know where you think this is going to rank in your mind in 2021 as far as rivalry.
Yeah, I think it could just, the big thing is the believability, right? And you look at, it's must see TV to me when they get the microphones nowadays, because everything is where, if you go back to when Roman Reigns came out trying this intimidation tactic, but Edge, being the using the psychology that he always does, it's so believable the way it played out, and then they played it out how they've been developing it. Yeah, it could be big because it could bring in so many other elements to be, to turn it into the tribal war versus, you know what I'm saying? Like, it has the ability to build even more because these two guys can lead factions, can, sort of put troops together and be believable, like the recruitment or whatever ideas, you always, when Paul Heyman's in there, there's always there's always shenanigans. And I think that if they do it right, they have the ability, because of what they've done with Roman Reigns and how they've brought him back into the we're, as wrestling fans, we're finally, it's like it's that believable character where you're getting more than what you did even with the Shield and stuff like that. And then you got Edge, who, again, back to our conversation about Sting, even though he's not old, but he's a veteran, and he's a guy who is in phenomenal shape. And you see the way that, from WrestleMania last year, competing and being in there, and even though he's got hurt along the way, these two guys have the it, I think, to be able to meld such an intricate masterpiece of a story. But again, I don't trust the people who are in charge, right? If this was, hey, Dennis, if this was AEW agents booking all this stuff with these two guys, I think it would be off the chains. Is it just because here's what I think, right? It's gonna go the way we want, and it's gonna build up, and then they're gonna do something stupid. And then it's not gonna make sense, and then it's gonna be like you're invested. That's why I can never. That's why I gotta watch from outside the fence with WWE. I mean, I'm leaning on the fence and I'm comfortable, right? But I ain't getting in the yard anymore because you never get me again. I'm in the kitchen and I'm in the living room and whatever of the AEW, Japan, Impact, all those guys, because I feel a part of it. WWE never lets you be a part of it. You're always on the outside looking in, and you're just a paycheck. That's okay. That's okay. I got the subscription. It's $10 a month. It's a great for wrestling fans. That's where we talked about this before, but I think that the potential is as great as any potential with these two, but the payoff will not be. I like it's almost like waiting for the shoe to fall.
It is. I mean, it has the elements for a great storyline. You have what they've done with Roman Reigns. I don't say this a lot, has actually been masterful. I mean, the Elimination Chamber, that was genius to have him come out of, and we all kind of knew it was coming, but the way they framed it, it was great. It fell into what this Roman Reigns we're watching is. And I thought, this is great. He manhandles Daniel Bryan. They give you that little tease at the very beginning, like, oh, Bryan's not done yet. It gets squashed essentially in quick order. And now you have Edge come out and basically do the hands behind. I like where they're taking me down. Like D-Mac said, I'm worried that they're going to take me down a dead-end street and I'm going to be stuck there going, really? This is how it's going to end? But this has the makings to be one of the top rivalries of the year if they do it right. And you're right, D-Mac. If this was AEW or anywhere else, on one hand, I don't know if the following is big enough in Impact or New Japan where the payoff would be like we're all emotionally invested. Maybe AEW, but WWE, I think, has the platform to make this feel special.
I think you're right, Dennis. I think they're going to do a good job with this one. I know everybody's skeptical of how this is going to end. I think they're going to do this one right. Guys like Edge, I know Vince McMahon gets the last say and everything, but a guy like Edge has the ear of Vince McMahon, and Edge is a really smart dude. So I think that Edge will be like, I don't think, and Vince will listen to him. Vince doesn't listen to everybody, but Vince will listen to him, I believe. And I think Edge will take us down that road, and like Paul Heyman's involved in it, and Roman. Those are all guys that are top guys that Vince listens to. So I think we'll be okay with that. We're all expecting, which is good. Maybe WWE wants us to all expect like this is gonna, the payoff's gonna be horrible, and our expectations are low. And then they give us a great payoff, and we're like, oh yeah, this is great. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. I like the setting of the match. Like they both use a spear for their finish, so that's always cool when you have the same finish, right? It's kind of
you tell us. You tell us. As a fan, I like it. See who's is better, who's gonna end it with the,
yeah, with
they're gonna pop each other off.
And it's cool. Like, if they kick out of each other's finishes, it's just really weird because if Edge kicks out of the spear, did he kick out of his own finish or Roman's finish? Like it's stupid, silly stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what was my next point? I don't remember what my next point was, but this is the best possible scenario that Edge could have done for which title he's going to choose for the Royal, winning the Royal Rumble. Like who else would it be? You think, Dennis? Like Drew? No, like baby. NXT.
I don't like having a established Hall of Famer superstar go down to the NXT brand. For me, and I think this is the problem and the benefit of what the WWE has done is they branded NXT to be, and I don't want to, it sounds like I'm knocking it, but the minor leagues, the young talent, to grow them, to nurture them. But, these guys come up and become superstars. I hate where they're now allowing some of these guys to go back down to NXT if their main roster runs don't work out the way they want. It almost feels like it's, I don't want to use the word cheapening the brand, but the shine almost fades away. Like, if you can't make it on the main roster, don't come back home.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's go ahead.
But that's sort of BS though, because Petey, isn't that though some people aren't put in positions to succeed, and it doesn't go to, like sometimes it's just not the right time. I think it depends. Each case depends on different. I'm sure guys develop differently. Or some guys earlier, some guys get it later, whatever. Like this, you look at Drew McIntyre. You look at how he's supposed to be the next one, and he had to, find his way, and then look at where he is in the last year. So, I mean, I think as athletes, as performers, as whatever else, sometimes, as you get to know yourself more, what you want to become, then you become then you become that. And sometimes to go there, and here's the thing, it's not run the same. Triple H knows what he's doing. I mean, the NXT is just like, so guys actually, it also too depends on what is important to the wrestler themselves. If they can drop their ego enough to know that this might be the best for their career to go back and reinvent themselves or find themselves, that's the
NXT's. Both of you are right. I feel like NXT's that double-edged sword there, because if you think about it, before guys from the main roster started going back down to NXT, everybody that started NXT was like brand new to the company. They are like, oh, this guy's going to be awesome. When's he going to get his call up? When's he going to get to the main roster? And then they get called up, right? So they're using NXT as like, okay, this is their farm system or whatever. Okay, awesome. Then what happens is you have like somebody like what was it, Tyler Breeze, or he doesn't kind of do anything on the roster. He's just doing whatever. Then he goes back down to NXT, and then it's like, oh, people love to see him back and stuff like that because he was a star in NXT. So yeah, you're right, Dennis, about that part. It cheapens NXT. You just said like, hey, NXT's what they built it up as, it's about up and coming stars, the future. And now it's like, okay, but it's also about the guys that can't cut it on the main roster, that we downgrade them. So the other edge of it is, guys like, Tyler Breeze, or like, Finn, or what, Finn could have stayed on the main roster. But anyways, when they come back down, it's like, okay, what would they do before NXT? They would release the guy. They would have him sit at home and then release him. We got nothing for you. Okay, if you don't have anything for you in the main roster, guess what? You're going to go back down to NXT. So it's that double-edged sword. It's a catch-22. Like, there's a good and a bad. You can look at it both ways.
All right. Real quick, guys, before we wrap this up, thoughts on the Elimination Chamber. We didn't really have a chance to talk about it, and we didn't really even talk about it throughout our text thread, but I figure while we're here, throw this out there real quick. What'd you guys think overall?
I was entertained. I liked it. I liked the storylines, the way that what it did is it did what it did. It added more ingredients to watch more. It made me more interested on what was to come Monday night. And I always judge it by, am I eager to see the next day? Or am I eager to, am I excited? Did it excite me moving forward? And with, obviously we talked about it, what they finally did with Bobby Lashley. It seems like they're finally getting it. The way that they played everything, the Miz, everything like that, they cashed it in. I agree. The storyline, it all made sense. I was happy. I was surprised, but I also go in with more lower expectations. But it was pretty neat. The way, like I enjoyed all the little things from almost ripping the Cage out. I'm surprised he didn't throw Adam Pierce through the. Like, why didn't he just ragdoll Adam Pierce right there and say, like, but all the little gimmicks, all the little stuff, the little nuances, I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, this is what I like about Elimination Chamber as a whole, I should say. You have the Royal Rumble, okay? And then everybody's excited for the Royal Rumble, and then it's like, okay, winner gets a shot at WrestleMania. So you got January and then end of March, April. What do you do in February? I always hated it before the Elimination Chamber came around. They didn't really have anything to do. It was like, okay, let's have the guys that are going to be all the champions and all the challengers at WrestleMania. Let's have a big 8-man tag. And it means nothing. Like, it's just, it's meaningless. So I like the concept that they came up with the Elimination Chamber. I like that they kind of, float the title around. I use the word float because I think they have a plan of what they're going to do at WrestleMania, but they have to keep people guessing. So it's not like, all right, we're just counting down the days for WrestleMania. Elimination Chamber is going to be like, okay, well, can I miss it? No, it's good. There's titles on the line. It's great. I like the concept. I don't think there's really been a bad Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, like the actual match. There's been some weaker ones than others, but I think they're consistently good. So that's one thing I think WWE does really good.
Yeah, I just kind of hate, and I think we've talked about this before, how they take a match and then turn it into a branded pay-per-view like Hell in the Cell or the Elimination Chamber itself.
I'd much rather have that, though, than have, like, one Money in the Bank pay-per-view, great, but then have like 3 of them throughout the year makes it not special. So I like that they
I think it should
do
be
that.
one match put somewhere through once a year.
Yeah.
A branded Money in the Bank match, the pay-per-view. If you're going to brand a pay-per-view, great. But if you're going to take, let's say, Hell in a Cell, right? Where up until recently, there was only one Hell in a Cell match on the whole pay-per-view.
Yep.
It's not really a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view unless every single match. I mean, TNA's Lethal Lockdown. Was every match in that cage?
No. Well,
I
Lockdown, they did have every match in the cage, but the last one was a Lethal Lockdown where the thing came down.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like where they take one match and turn it into a pay-per-view. I also, once again, don't like a pay-per-view every month. It doesn't make it feel as special as it used to when there was only, 4 or 6 of them?
Mm-hmm. I think Impact has the right idea where they have approximately 4. I don't know how much they're going to go up to this year, but, about 4 pay-per-views a year. They make them special. And then they have the TV specials, like, or it used to be TV specials. Now they have a special on the app. So you could call those a pay-per-view, but it's more of a special. It's just on the app. So I like that you can build towards that. And, like, remember when they had Starcade, like when WWE took that over? I like that they made that, like, not a pay-per-view, but more of like a network special. So I like those. If they did more of like network specials and just have like 4 big pay-per-views a year, I think that'd be awesome.
I'm entertained as long as it makes sense.
Yeah.
As long as I can follow the story, as long as, and I don't have to like it, but if it makes some sort of sense, or I can see where somebody's coming from, then I'm entertained.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you, and we'll wrap it up with this question about the whole Peacock deal. You guys on day one going to go out and sign up for the Peacock and start doing the network and every, the office and all that stuff? Or is it going to take you time, or is it something you're interested in? I know, Pete, you use my network login, so you're going to do whatever I do.
Yeah. So whatever you do, Dennis, I'm going to do. I did hear about Peacock like last year, and I just wanted to watch a show on it. Like, they said it was free and stuff like that, and I kind of it's another network. I don't know how logistically that's going to work. I don't know if, like, just the WWE network is part of Peacock and they overtook them, I guess.
Everything is going to the Peacock app, and
Okay.
I think they're just going to have their own page, and then everything on the network is going to be on the Peacock app.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm obviously probably not gonna get it. So I mean, come on. I don't pay for wrestling anymore. I just can't do it. I just can't bring myself to it. I'll come over to your house all the time, Dennis, and we'll have a party. D-Mac, let's go. Let's do it.
I'm all, I'm down. I don't need just got to know what Dennis is cooking.
What about you, D-Mac? What are you gonna do?
Oh, I'll chase whatever. I won't get it to watch any TV like that, but if that's where I got to get my wrestling, and if it's $10 a month, you got me for $10 a month. To the same thing. If it changes, then I'm not as, like I said, I'll watch YouTube to catch up on WWE. I'm not as emotionally invested. It's more of I'll get that through you and whatever else. But it's one of those things. They've done it to me over time, and I'm just not going to fall for it again. So I've been able to. So I'm investing my love on the other platforms where PD works. The AEW, because I like, and being a part of this show, you get to talk to some of the guys, and you understand their whys of what's important. And I love just hearing that, the things where guys are all, it's a win-win. And to me, that's what I'm about in life now. And I never see the WWE as that. I never saw Vince McMahon as that. But it's okay. It's just understanding what you're dealing with. So, but I do. I'm a fan, but it's not gonna, like, honestly, and here's my theory, Dennis, how I work. If it's harder than it was to get on the WWE app, then no.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Has to be user friendly. Yep.
That's why I
Then
think
my boy Simon Miller from What Culture will give me the updates, every ups and downs, everything, which if you're going to subscribe to us and you're a wrestling fan, subscribe to that, What Culture, whatever it is, all the ones I watch. It's great. I mean, I feel up to date on everything I missed. And we all talked about that before, about the different things that we read or we look at, or the magazines. I was actually in the Walmart the other day, and I was flipping through the Orange Cassidy on the PWI.
Nice.
Which was pretty cool, because I haven't picked the PWI up in a long time, and just to go through it to see how elaborate it is, and shout out to those guys. So,
well, and the one thing I think I've said many times on this podcast, and kind of what you said about, if you have to work for it, you're not going to watch this. That's why I think Monday Night Raw is so popular, is because everybody is conditioned to believe Monday night is their wrestling night. And I don't think Raw would be as successful on any other night, or even any other channel, USA. I mean, remember when it bounced around to a couple different channels? I don't think Raw was as successful as it was when it was USA. And that's because it's so easy. USA, 8 o'clock, Monday night. You change any one of those things, I think Raw is just another wrestling show.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. Appointment TV is what we used to call it. And
yep.
I mean, but we're getting out of that era. A lot more cord cutters and all that kind of stuff. So, but they circumvented that. Now they have the network Peacock. Obviously, Peacock's owned by, I believe, NBC. So, yeah, they're getting in the mix. So they're staying up with the times. But yeah, absolutely, appointment television.
And to wrap up the show, guys, thank you so much. I know a lot of people ask why we never promote the podcast side and we only promote the YouTube. Right now, we're averaging over 10,000 downloads an episode on the podcast. So we're trying to really grow the YouTube channel more than the podcast side, because the podcast side's already established. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We do have the podcast on all major downloaded podcast networks, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. We're on iHeartRadio, radio.com. Any place you get your podcast, that's where we are. Great. But it's the YouTube channel. And as you saw at the top of the show, we will start reading off a few comments per episode and just singling out a few new subscribers saying hi. And if we don't say hi to you and you want us to, you can email us at WrestlingPerspective@gmail.com. and we will make sure we give you a proper shout out. So, guys, great show. You will be excited for our next guest. If you don't follow us on any social medias, Ricky Starks. I'm excited for that. So,
Oh, me too. This will be great.
So
yeah, this will be awesome. And Dennis, the truth is that Dennis is looking for a date. So we told him that instead of doing Match.com, we had to do YouTube and he had to show his pretty face. But Petey said he should wear his glasses because that's his trademark. And he disagreed. He said, you know, we had talked about this earlier. So ladies,
Hey, bro.
ladies, thank you for listening. But do you think Dennis should wear his glasses or not wear his glasses? And who wants to date Dennis?
I didn't recognize him without his glasses. I would.
There he is. There he is.
Oh, Dennis, when did you get here?
I just showed up. Hey, it's time for the wrestling perspective.
Some mark in your chair earlier.
All right.
Oh, screw him. But hey, listen, I'm old, so I can't see my phone with my glasses.
I'm the opposite. I can't see my phone without my glasses. I can't see you guys.
Hey.
Do you know how to press stop right now so we can stop recording? Can you see that?
Yes. All right. Wrestling Perspective. Thank you and good night.